You know, after Secret Empire wrapped up last week, I feel like we all kind of need a break from the giant events. So I'm glad that Marvel came in here and said that they're not doing any more events for 18 months. Wow, has it been a year and a half already? Hello everyone, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgy, your guide to all things geeky, and welcome to another episode of Comic Class, the show every single week on this channel where we just geek out about comic books. And this is going to be another one of them rambling videos. Those videos where I just finished reading a book and I'm just coming in here to give you my thoughts on that book right off the top of my head. However, it is not going to be nearly as rambly as last week's episode where I gave you my thoughts on all of Secret Empire 10. Because Secret Empire was meant to be a metaphor and a message about so many different things, and it went and twisted and turned and went in so many directions and contained so many goods and so many bads that kind of were constant war with each other. This is a book about a bunch of Venoms fighting Super Venoms. My brain gets to take the week off this week. Yes, I'm coming in here to talk to you about issue 1 of Venomverse. Now, alright, let's go ahead and address the big elephant in the room. Marvel did say after Secret Empire they are not going to do any more events for a year and a half, and then immediately the next week they start an event. However, this is certainly different. I can understand why they wouldn't count this as an event. Granted, I think they still should have waited a little bit more than a week after saying that they weren't doing any more events, because it does kind of leave a taste in your mouth. You can't help but look at this and go, that's an event. I know what a freaking event looks like. It's got tie-in issues, it's got the main storyline, it has all the signs of an event. There's a checklist of all the books in the back of the issue that I need to pick up to understand this. It's an event. However, it's not a Marvel crossover event. It's not the kind of thing that they were talking about when they said that they're not going to do any more events. This is just a goofy side story that is not going to affect anything in any way. Which honestly, after Marvel coming in here almost every single month with something that would change the world forever, I kind of just needed something like this. This really is just kind of the palate cleanser of events. This is that event that just comes in here and goes, you know what, sometimes we can just smash action figures together. We don't actually need to really have a story to any of this stuff. Sometimes it's just about having cool monsters fight each other. Okay, I'm down with that. Yeah, in all honesty, if this is the kind of events that we're going to be getting from the future of Marvel, I feel like this is okay for the next couple of years. I can stand just having Venomverses for the next couple of years, because it ain't really gonna affect anything. In fact, as I was reading this, we all know that this is partly influenced by Spider-Verse, which happened a few years ago, and I thought, man, if they can do this with Venom, what other characters can they do this with? And the first one that I thought of was Thor, just a bunch of different multiverse Thors, each one being a different character who was able to pick up the hammer. That could be kind of cool, but I would love for them to do it with just like a smaller character, like have Miss Marvelverse, like just have Kamala Khan meeting a bunch of different alternate reality Miss Marvels. That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't really affect anything, just be a sweet couple issues in there. Come on, I'm okay with this. But as you guys can tell, I'm being a little bit positive on this storyline, and I'm kind of enjoying it. And before I actually get into the issue and I actually start dissecting it, I gotta let you know where I'm coming from. I gotta let you know why I'm enjoying this so much. It's not just because it's some big goofy story that's not going to affect anything, and honestly, I just kind of want that for the next couple of years from Marvel. It's also because I just love alternate realities. I do. When I was a kid, alternate realities were everywhere. That was a big thing in comics. In fact, it's been a big thing in comics for generations now, but it was especially big in the 90s. Like, not only did we have Age of Apocalypse, and DC had all these Elseworld stories coming out at that time, but Marvel also had a series called What If. And in that series, every single issue, a writer could come in there and just do whatever they wanted with these characters. They could twist and turn their storyline any way they want, pull them apart, stitch them back together, make them something completely brand new, and I loved it. That creativity and that imagination that went into every single one of those issues, it was one of my favorite things reading it as I was growing up. So to this day, I love alternate reality storylines. And this is nothing but, hey, what if all these other characters got the Venom Symbiote on them? And I know there's some people out there thinking, well, I don't care about that. I don't think it's interesting or cool, whoever gets a new Venom Symbiote. Listen, I understand Venom is not a character for everybody out there. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I've kind of fallen out of favor with Venom myself. I mean, I still think he's an interesting character, but I no longer really get excited when he pops up. I mean, in all honesty, when they said Eddie Brock was returning as Venom, all I could think was, really? Oh, well, I really don't care now, because in all honesty, I thought Flash Thompson was a way more interesting character. I'll give the comment section a moment to rage war over that issue, but I still remember what I was like when I was 13. And when I was 13, not only did I think Venom was the coolest thing around, but also I spent all my time with my other comic book reading buddies doing nothing but talking about how cool it would be if a different character got the Venom Symbiote. I remember we kept thinking, oh, what if this character got the Venom Symbiote? Oh, what if this one got the Venom Symbiote? There were like 9 what if issues alone out there that we read about other characters getting the Venom Symbiote. That was one of our favorite topics because we thought the Venom Symbiote was cool, and we thought if you took one cool thing and merged it with another cool thing, it'd be the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup of comic book characters. That was one thing we loved talking about. I was, in fact, in no way an artist. My art skills are terrible, but I remember I had books full of my crappy fan art, and many of those crappy fan art pieces were of other characters as Venom. So yeah, I just had to go ahead and let you guys know that up front because it does sound like I'm enjoying it. It does sound like I am excited about this book, but make no mistake, the primate brain in me is saying, well, there are a few interesting concepts in here, but none of them really pan out, and some of the stuff that you do set up very quickly skirts aside, and there's no really great character dynamics in here, and everybody is fairly basic, and we don't really delve into any of these characters so far, and really this doesn't seem like it's going to be anything special at all, or connect to anything that will have any substantial growth or meaning in the future. But the lizard brain in me is going, dude, check out all them Venoms. That is what I picked this issue up for. That's what I'm seeing. But even then, the lizard brain is being a little bit disappointing, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. However, I bring this up because I want to make it clear. I've always said on this channel, not every book is for every audience out there. And if you're picking this up because you want to see some great character interactions, you want to see something really intellectual in here, why are you doing that? Why? The entire point of this book is just to see Black Panther Venom, Captain America Venom, Wolverine Venom, and Doctor Strange Venom all teaming up with Venom Venom so that they can then fight weird parasite Demogorgon Venoms. Yeah, the villains in here are kind of odd. I'll get into that in a second, but let's go ahead and actually start talking about this issue. So this issue starts off with Eddie Brock Venom fighting Jack-O-Lantern, and I kind of enjoyed that they brought Jack-O-Lantern back, because Jack-O-Lantern was the main villain for Flash Thompson's Venom, but I thought it was weird that they were kind of talking like they knew each other, and I could understand Jack-O-Lantern being like, oh, it's Venom, because he still thinks it's the same guy, but even Eddie Brock was kind of like, oh yeah, we've been looking forward to crossing your path, and I was like, really? Like, the symbiote, maybe, but do you even have any interactions with him? But then he is immediately picked up and swooped away to this alternate reality. And when they're in this alternate reality, he meets all these other Venoms. There's Old Man Logan Venom, there's Laura Kinney Venom, there is Doctor Strange Venom. Doctor Strange Venom is actually the one who has been pulling them all together. And it is because this world that Doctor Strange Venom is from, it's been overrun by these weird little parasite things. They look like little stick figure characters that are about this high, but then they have heads like the Demogorgon from Stranger Things, or kind of like a Venus flytrap, I guess for anybody who hasn't seen that show. And they feed on the Venom Symbiote. But they don't feed on them like they eat them and gain their strength. They feed on the Venom Symbiote the same way that the Venom Symbiote feeds on its host. Basically, it's a symbiote for the symbiote. As I said, there's not really anything complex or serious or intellectual about this book. It's just for the people out there who say things like,
you know these guitars that are like double guitars, you know?
Yeah, things like that. It's symbiotes that are like double symbiotes. So basically, he has to assemble an army of Venoms to fight these guys, which, as I'm saying the words now, make me wonder, why in God's name would you then bring all the things they feed on to one location? That don't make sense. Sorry, but as I said, this is not a book that's meant to be thought about. But one thing that I did really enjoy about this issue right off the bat is that as soon as Eddie Brock Venom gets there with the rest of the Venom Corps, they're all looking at him, and there's some of them that are having trouble controlling their symbiotes, like Laura Kinney. If you read her little prequel issue, she was kind of like a little bit savage in there, but she still had mostly in control. But the rest of them are pretty much just like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm in control. I know, I got this down pat. Like, there's a Peter Parker Venom there from a reality where he decided to keep the symbiote, and he's in like total control of that thing. Like, he knows it inside and out, and the moment he sees him, he goes, wait a minute, are you Eddie Brock in there? Dude, Eddie Brock in my dimension is a psychopath, and I'm sure he is in this one as well. I'm sure you all know an Eddie Brock, and he's probably an a-hole where you're from. Do we really want to trust this guy? And our Eddie Brock Venom was just like, yeah, screw you, I didn't ask for any of this, I'm gonna rip all you apart. And basically, they all kind of look at him as like, are you not in control of your thing? Like, they don't actually say that. What they say is, dude, this Eddie Brock is pulling out the worst traits of his Venom. And I kind of love this idea that all the other symbiotes kind of work hand in hand with their hosts. They're all kind of going along. They're all kind of chill about this. They've reached an understanding. Venom is still just being an absolute a-hole monster. Eddie Brock is just being a piece of crap because, yeah, man, I know that Venom was the lethal protector. I know he was a superhero who went out there and basically was like Punisher, Spider-Man, but yeah, man, he was kind of crazy. He did love to scream out things like, I'm gonna eat your brains. So seeing all these other Venoms look at the way that our Venom is acting like, dude, what is wrong with you? It was actually kind of a decent surprise. I actually really dig that character trait. I actually kind of dig that character turn there because it made me think back to Spider-Verse where we got our Peter Parker in with all the other multi-dimensional Spider-Men, and they're like, yeah, man, you're the chosen one. You are the perfect Spider-Man. You're the one that's going to lead us. I love that this is the complete opposite of that. They brought this guy in and looked at him and was like, who the hell invited this guy? This guy sucks. But one of my big problems with this issue so far is that he gets introduced to this room full of alternate reality Venoms, and I'm like, oh, can't wait to see what happens here. And then immediately, a giant parasitic Hulk breaks into the room. As I said, these little things they're fighting, which they just call the Poison, not the best name, but they just call them the Poison, they then latch on to these Venoms, and then they just create some new form of them. Like, you know how when the Venom symbiote gets on somebody, it turns into a Venom form of them? Imagine if you then took that Venom form and put a bunch of like insect-like exoskeleton white shells all over them. That's kind of what they are. So after Poison Hulk ends up breaking in there and starts fighting them, the whole team has to separate, and they go off in different directions, which again, it would have been really cool to actually see this team interacting, but they are immediately separated. That's my big problem with this issue so far. A, as I said, it's not really smart, but then again, it's not trying to be, so I cut some slack on that, but I kept thinking, oh man, all these weird Venom versions of all these characters, that would be so cool to see them together. And the first thing they do is split everybody apart. So okay, even my lizard brain, which was going in here going, I just want to see Venoms, is asking, where's the Venoms? What just happened with this? You just took everybody and split them apart. Come on, man, that's not what I was picking this up for. But the Venom that gets teamed up with Eddie Brock is Peter Parker. And as they're running away from this Hulk, and Peter Parker's trying to explain to him, Peter Parker's also going, listen, man, you're no good, listen, I know you from my universe, you're no good, I can't trust you, you're just a problem for us, let's just get back with the other team, we'll send you home. And our Eddie Brock is like, screw you, I didn't even want to be here, but I am here, so I'm going to prove you wrong, I'm going to prove I'm the best Venom of them all. So they're basically butting heads. I thought, man, this is actually going to be awesome. Seeing the Peter Parker who is paired up with the symbiote, actually having to team up with a Venom who is paired with this symbiote. Seeing these two as like an unlikely, I don't trust you, I don't like you, but then as they go on this adventure, they actually become friends, they actually start to trust each other. That's gonna be real cool. Here comes my next problem with this storyline. They then encounter a poison Dr. Octopus. Yeah, again, I wish I could really show you, because it's weird and freaky. But Cullen Bunn does weird and freaky pretty well, so I will give him that. This is totally a Cullen Bunn event. Cullen Bunn has a thing for body horror, so he basically turned that into a Venom event. But so they're fighting this, but as they're fighting it, the Peter Parker Venom gets knocked down, and he's like having hallucinations of his Aunt May saying, come to me, Peter. But in the beginning of this issue, they establish these things can tap into your psyche and basically appear as whatever you want. And Peter is so knocked out that after Eddie Brock Venom takes out Poison Dr. Octopus, he then turns around and sees Poison Peter Parker, Poison Spider-Man. So there goes that potential plot line down the toilet. Yeah, all that stuff I was imagining in my head, like, oh man, this could turn out to be really cool. I've seen Venom Peter Parker and Venom actually having to team up. Oh man, I can't wait to see where that goes. It goes nowhere. It ends at the end of this issue because now Venom has to fight Poison Spider-Man. Okay, well that could have been a really cool thing that we now don't get. Also, one other problem I have with the little parasite creatures in this one, they do just appear in this, but they're talking about, oh, they go around feeding on the different Venom symbiotes. It feels like it would have been really easy, considering that there is currently an ongoing Venom series, to be able to set these guys up. I mean, there are other symbiote characters in the Marvel Universe aside from just Venom. It feels like you could have just thrown in one of those obscure ones who are still around that nobody remembers, have them come up in an issue of Venom, then one of these guys pops up in here out of nowhere, attacks that guy, turns him into one of these weird monster things, and then bam, that's it. Now you know what they are. Now you know it's a threat, and then it goes into this thing. Instead, there's really no setup, and they do just pop up in here. It feels like the impact of seeing these monster poison versions of these other heroes would have had a bigger effect if we had already seen what happens in a previous issue of Venom rather than being introduced to it here. So that is issue number 1. It is way simpler than most other event books because, as I said, it's not trying to be anything complex, but I have to kind of applaud it because it knows what it is and it knows what audience it's for. Normally with these giant, massive Marvel events, I'm always a little bit more negative and a little bit more judgy on them, simply because it's like, alright, this is going to change so many things, it's going to cross over into so many things, so I have to ask myself, is it worth all the change that it's making? Is it worth interrupting everybody else's storyline? And everybody out there is going to feel like they have to pick this up to know what's happening. So is it worth recommending to everybody out there who feels like they have to pick it up? And also, is it worth that extra price? Whereas with this one, I really only have to ask, is it worth that extra price? Because this isn't going to change anything. This isn't going to cross over in anything. It's not going to affect anything. This is solely here just to be a big, fun beat 'em up of different Venom characters going up against Venom characters. So then the question is just, is this worth the extra money? And my answer is simply, hey man, are you the type of person who goes and pays to see a big, dumb summer blockbuster film and then you walk out of there and go, well, there was clearly no point to that and the plot had several problems to it. You probably aren't going to enjoy this. Are you somebody who is able to shut your brain off and just enjoy explosions for a little while? I think you'll dig this book. That's what this is. It's an escapist book. I have so many people out there who tell me, it's like, man, I'm sick of comic books trying to approach real world issues. I just want some fun escapism for once in the day. I just want a couple minutes where I don't have to think about anything. I just want to see fun superhero stuff. Yeah, man, this is your book. This is the one you were waiting for. And the only real tie-ins that this thing is going to have is it has the 5-issue edge of Venomverse that introduced us to different Venom characters. There was one for Laura Kinney, one for Old Man Logan, one for Gwenpool, one for Deadpool, and one for Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider. I read pretty much most of them. I didn't read the Deadpool one, which I really should have because it was drawn by James Stocco, but I read all the other ones. No man, they're fun, but they are in no way necessary for this. It gives you backstories on each of these characters, then those characters pop up in here, and they each say, yeah, well, what's all this about? And then they are immediately separated by Poison Hulk. So maybe they'll come back in later, but honestly, they are not necessary at all. Pick them up only if you want to see some Venom versions of these characters and just have some fun, goofy, what if, it doesn't really matter, fun times. But there's also going to be a 2-part tie-in called Venomverse War Stories, and all this is just Edge of Venomverse all over again, but rather than giving each character their own issue, they now squeeze 4 characters into every single issue, giving them short stories, so it's kind of an anthology book. And in this first issue, we get the introduction with Doctor Strange, then we get Punisher, Black Panther, Rocket Raccoon, and Dr. Doom. And, you know, it's 4 different stories by 4 different creators. It's a mixed bag, but again, it's just the backstories of these characters. It's going to tie in no way at all, but I do have to say, just as somebody who loves those old what-if issues, where things would get crazy, as somebody who just loved all the DC Elseworlds, where they got even crazier, and they didn't even have to tie in at all to the regular main universe. They could do whatever they want in there. It was kind of fun reading this. It was kind of fun reading the war stories because in that one, they just were allowed to do whatever they wanted with it. Like in the Rocket Raccoon one, he fights Carol Danvers, but in this universe, Carol Danvers is not Captain Marvel, she's Captain America. And then the Dr. Doom one, the Avengers have to go and fight him, and you've got Luke Cage there, and Luke Cage is Iron Man. Luke Cage suits up with the helmet and little gauntlets on, but then he's still got like the bare chest exposed. I was like, this is just goofy fun. And I don't know if I can recommend paying for the main storyline and this one, but yeah, it's just dumb fun. And honestly, like I said, after Secret Empire, after Civil War II, after everything else that's been going on, I'm not gonna blame anybody out there for going, I will gladly pay $5 for just some dumb, stupid fun. Again, the story has problems to it, it's super simplistic, and only really exists for people out there who want to see different versions of Venoms from alternate realities smashing into each other. But this event didn't lie and say it was about anything else. It didn't pretend like it was anything different. It told you right up front, that's what this is going to be. For the most part, it delivered on it. Granted, I did have a problem that they separated everybody so quickly. It felt like that was a missed opportunity, but I'm sure they'll all come back together. We'll get to see them interacting then. So, you know what? I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna check it out. And when it's all over with, I'll come back in here, give you my final thoughts on that. So if you want to see my final thoughts on that, then make sure you click that subscribe button, and you can always follow me on Twitter and Twitch and Tumblr at Professor Thorgy to let me know your thoughts, or you let me know those in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoy these comic book videos, you might have missed it last weekend, but we started a new 4-part series in which I talk about Marvel Legacy, and I actually talk about what I would do if I had to relaunch Marvel Universe. That video has been doing very well. You guys have been enjoying it a lot, so I thank you guys so much for that. And if you have not gotten the opportunity to check that out, it will be popping up in just a couple seconds. So again, just wanted to say thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time. Bye.